So we're going to use these. They insert at the top and the bottom using a number 6 screw. You insert that, flush with that. Depending how tall the door is, we use these as shims. So I'll put one in the middle here on this area here. You'll see in a minute that there'll be a track that runs along the side of that. I'll put another one here. Is about midpoint of the bigger slot. Okay, this is actually the bottom of the door, just so we know. So this is going to be always a fixed length in here. So we put one at midpoint here. This one here, we are going to offset it off the center because there's going to be another screw that goes there in a minute. This is going to adjust up and down. This is a fairly short door, so I'm not going to put anything in there. But if it was a taller door, an 8-foot door, then you would add one in there. If it starts to get taller, then you add 2. Yeah, so we're going to set that on the door just to confirm that it sits at the top and bottom. We're going to find the top of the door. And for an in-swing door, we're going to have to trim the top of the Astragal. That's got to be trimmed 3/4 of an inch off the top. If it's an outswing door, we need to trim top and bottom. We need to cut this outer section off. So we're going to cut down to approximately here. Okay. Cut through the fiberglass with this. Before we put it back on the door panel, we use 3/8 by 1/8 glazing tape to run down into the groove. Okay, now we're going to do pre-drill the holes to hold the Astragal in place and the adjustment holes. So from the top and the bottom, we're going to do 2 holes, one at 6.5, one at 7.25. 6.5, 7.25. Then we're going to do a hole center of these 2. And we're going to do a hole about 3 inches from the strike plate location. And again, because this door is short, we're not going to need any more adjustment holes. If it's taller, then we have to add another adjustment hole about 3 inches up from here. Fiberglass bit, we're going to pre-drill these holes. There's 2 walls. This hole here only goes through the first wall. important. Hold on to that Astragal, because if you pull the drill back out, it will pull the Astragal and fall to the ground. Okay, so the second hole here is going to go through both. And we're going to let that drill into the wood just a little bit, meaning you can see here, it's going to create a little bit of a pilot hole. Okay, we're going to do the same thing at the top. That hole, we're not going to drill all the way through. First hole. Second hole all the way through. And then into the wood a little bit. These two holes, these are adjustment holes. They're going to drill all the way through and pilot into the wood. So it's going to go into the pilot hole, and we're going to screw that in till it just sits flush with this, or down a little bit, not up though. It needs to sit flush. Okay, what this screw is designed for is it allows us to make adjustments to the Astragal by lifting the Astragal away from the panel if need be. Right, place the Astragal back on. We use these screws to fasten it. So that screw goes at the hole right at the top, and the hole right at the bottom. That's going to hold the Astragal on. And that goes down through the hole. This until bottom's out. Okay, we have some printed parts that need to go into these slots. Take this here, up, goes up. Slide into that. Okay. I pre-drill this hole out with a 3/16 drill bit, to make that hole larger. Two and a half inch screw. Rod and the markation for the bottom. So you can see here we've got that flat bar. You can remember we had the little shim on there, so it had a gap on that side. We need to flip the bar to go in there. This way? Oh, look at that. So it's right in there like it's supposed to. We have little screwdriver. If you can see down in the slot from this angle, this rod needs to go and engage into the end of that. So need to kind of be a little bit finicky, but it fits in and I'm pushed in. So what we're doing there is making sure that that rod fits into there. Okay? And that moves up and down, and we just need to get that rod into that slot. So now this is sitting flush with the bottom, and it's engaged in there. We're going to flip this lever, and what that'll do is allow us to see some set screws that we can now tighten up. Take this, slide it in there, tighten up the set screw. And now that rod flips. Okay, we're going to flip it back now in its pulled back position. We're going to take a rod that fits this. You can do that by just checking this out. That's long enough. If it's up here, we got to go to the next length of rod. A little screwdriver again. Just directing that rod to fit into that slot. All right, so you can see now that we're too long. We're going to take a tape measure and measure it. This is just over 2 inches. I'm going to cut 2 1/8 inches off of this, so we know that it's then going to be short enough. Okay, now you can see that it's shoved in all the way now. I'm going to flip the lever again to get access into the Allen key. It's looking good. So now we're going to mount the strike plate, except there's a few things missing. We can't just mount it like that. So, a couple of printed parts. Slide in there. Yeah. We have these cups. They're to go in there. Bad part is they're too tall. So we need to trim these off. So we're going to go to the saw, bandsaw, to just trim these off. I'm going to cut about 3/16 off of that. Very carefully so you don't cut your fingers off. Slide goes in, good. Cut this in. See, there's a little bit short. That means you just gotta knock that back a little bit more. There. Now we're sitting in there flush on both sides. We're gonna pre-drill those holes in with the larger bit. Also goes to the fiberglass in the back wall. A 2-inch screw. Gonna just black or zinc, whichever matches the color of the strike plate. Run that in. So it's tight. Bottom, we want to fill in the bottom so that we don't get stuff up in there. For that, we have a couple of different printed caps available that will go in, and a bottom piece that will fit in there. If the door is, or the Astragal is black, obviously we want to use black silicone. Everything else we can use translucent. So we'll put a small or a bead around the edge. This will seal and glue the parts in once it's set. Wipe off the squeeze out. Is slightly different. It's not as thick as the bottom. Wipe off. Squeeze out. is it.